What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Joe Kilgallon Podcast, aka Kilgallon's Pub. I'm your host, Joe Kilgallon. Got to start this one off with a big, fat fucking apology to all the listeners for this week's episode coming out nearly 4 days late. You're listening to this on a Friday, so happy Friday to you and yours. I'm sorry, everyone. You know what it was? It was that damn Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, that's right, Memorial Day. I'm blaming you, right? I was gonna make a bunch of jokes about these people dying, and now we celebrate them. And if we weren't celebrating them, maybe my podcast would be on time. But I don't believe that. That's a horrible thing to say. Hey, all you soldiers who died, sorry about that. That sucks. I wish you were still alive. But we celebrate you at the end of May here in the United States of America, and it's a great weekend. But it throws me off, as all 3-day weekends do. Do you have that, listener, listening in your car? Are you working out? Are you having sex right now? And I'm on in the background and you're like, we're in the middle of this. I can't get up and change this. You know, maybe you had some sexy music playing and then your headboard rocked the end table, your bedside table, and that shook the phone. And then your phone opened up my voice and here you are hearing me as you're thrusting away. Or it's a female listener and you're getting thrusted into, or you're on top riding and you're having a good time. I want everyone to enjoy themselves. That's what I'm a big believer in that. So, the 3-day weekend throws me off. It does. I love a 3-day weekend. I'm wondering if, I was asking if you have this too, everyone, where it's hard to get back to regular life because you had that bonus day. But the 3-day weekend never affected me before until I started hit with kids because, if one goes to school, that extra day, it's like, oh, this is fun. And then you got to get them back to school. And they're like, oh, man. I remember when I was in school, going back to school on a Tuesday after having that Monday off. Oh, did that suck, donkey asshole, because you don't want to go back. You were living in this fantasy land where the world made sense. And I mean it. When you have 3 days off, the world makes more sense. I used to joke when I was a child saying, if I could go back in time, what I would do is find the son of a bitch who said, how about this? We work 5 days, we go to school 5 days, then we have 2 days off. How does that sound? I would have strangled that guy. I would have put him out of existence. Some of you might be thinking, hey, why don't you just tell him that's a bad idea? I'm like, no, because this guy, you can't take the chance. I don't know how persuasive this guy was. He must have been the most persuasive person in human history to say out loud to a general audience, hey, I think we should work 5 days and just get 2 days off. I think that's going to be our work-life balance. Because he had to have been charming and persuasive and just a great speaker, because I don't know how a sea of people or whoever he was talking to was like, yeah, that sounds like a good balance. Yeah. No, I would have been like, are you fucking out of your mind, dude? Even 4-3 is kind of dumb. Did they not know back then that you die? Did they all think they were invincible? Seriously, 4-3 I'll deal with, because a lot of people are like, well, you got to work a little bit harder because to survive and blah, 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 and hard work feeds the soul. And it's bullshit, really. If anything, it should be 3.5. That's bad math. No, it's not. That's 7. What am I talking about? $3.50 times 2, $7, baby. See, I used to know all my math from adding up change. But listen, here's why it should be 3.5, because that's equal. I don't know how that wasn't thought about more back then. I guess back when they were just farmers and stuff, they just worked every day, but it was different. They're working for themselves. They had their little piece of land, and then they were working. They're like, hey, I got to harvest some shit and sell it so I can survive this winter. So it's a different scenario. But as we move more towards commerce, where stores were being opened up and jobs were more than just digging holes, they should have had, I think the problem was at the time, the people, it was a class system. Now, don't quote me on a lot of history, but so when all those people are like, look, you're going to get 5 days of work, 2 days off, they're like, I'm just happy I'm not a slave. Okay. 2 days off? Are you sure? 1 day off seems like enough for me. I don't even have to take breaks. I can just shit my thighs. Like, you know what I mean? It's just a weird world to me. But now we've evolved. We've advanced somewhat, not enough, but we should be thinking to ourselves, how about this? There's 7 days in a week. We'll work 3 days off. Work 3 days off. That'll be the exchange. But really, 3.5 would have been just money. That would have been the spot. And then everyone could alternate which 3.5. That way, not everyone's off at the same time. You kind of rotate it out a little bit. And, I just think that'd be a good way to go. I just don't get the 5 and 2. When I was in kindergarten, I thought this was stupid. I mean, like, I don't get 2 off, but I got to show up to this bullshit every day, 5 days a week. Who the fuck came up with that? Like, I think that's where it started for me. My distrust of people started back in kindergarten when I saw an injustice in the world in which we go to school for 5 days and only get 2 days of fun. But then there's people out there who are like, but that doesn't make the weekend much better. You work for your weekend. No, I mean, the weekend's great when it's 3 days, right? But yeah, anyway, so long story short, that's why the podcast is coming out today on a Friday. It just kept backing me up because, I've been releasing them on Tuesdays, and Mondays, Tuesdays, been doing a little bit of both, been going back and forth. I do have a Patreon episode up. Shout out to the Patreon subscribers. You guys are amazing. I love y'all. I should be naming you off. But I'm not going to do that right now because I don't have the list of names in front of me. So, but the ones who are out there, you know who you are. You're special to me. I'll write you a message. And I released a new episode with Marty DeRosa just last week. So check that out. It's on the Patreon for if you're a wrestling fan or just a fan of people making lists. I do my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time. Not the top 5 greatest, just ones who I was a big fan of. A lot of them are from my youth. So it is Friday. I'm glad you're listening to this. I hope you have a wonderful weekend ahead. I hope everything's going good in your life. I had a pretty good weekend. Last episode of this podcast, I was very angry. I called it just one of those days. I had a couple sound glitches even just to throw salt in the wound. You know what I mean? And now I'm feeling a lot better, though. I am feeling better. Yeah, you just, sometimes you have days and you just got to step back. Since I have deactivated Twitter and I've stayed off of it for the most part, I have 2 other Twitter accounts that I did jump on very quickly to throw some messages out there. And yeah, I just think it's for the best thing for me right now to stay off that particular website. I think I need a detox, is what I'm calling it. I need like a mental health detox overall. I went for some long walks today, which were great. The weather was awesome. 74 degrees. You could wear pants and not sweat your cheeks. It was a nice one. And yeah, got the steps in and was just looking out the sky, feeling present, more in the moment. And I think that's what we all need from time to time. The world's getting fast and slow at the same time. Fast meaning it's fast. Things are going quickly and we have our minds are constantly racing. There's, we get super high speed internet, but I remember the other day something took half a second. I remember being like, what is this bullshit? What am I even paying for? That's what I'm saying. And it's just, everything is just a constant rush. This piece of shit, I'm going to become one of those parents, by the way. This piece of shit drove like 60 miles an hour down my side street. I live on a residential block, but my block is near that people take as a shortcut to the highway, I've noticed. And especially in the morning commute. But what an asshole. I see him stopped at the stop sign. I'm not too far from the corner. I'm holding my 2 children by the hand. I got one on one side, one on the other, 5 and 3. And as I look, I see the car at the stop sign. Now, any normal car would have been like, oh yeah, this person's like half a block up. I'm not half a block, but I'm far enough up where they would have been like, yeah, go. Did they do that? No, this motherfucker steps on his gas, flooring it. So as he went by me, sorry, I know that's gross to hear on a podcast. I regret it a little bit even. And I spit. Wasn't my best. I didn't have enough time because it just wasn't, he was going quick. So I did one of those spray spits where I think a good chunk got the middle back. It was a minivan too. What an asshole. Who drives like that? You'd think they had kids and they would know better. Hit the middle part. One sprayed got the, passenger window and then the other got the back. So I kind of like, it was a real cool little like triple spit. But it didn't have a lot of girth to it, I guess I'm going to call it. And I was like, swearing at him and telling my kids, don't repeat after daddy, And now I'm going to become one of those parents where I'm going to help the alderman. I'm going to talk to someone and be like, hey, You guys want to make a fortune on giving people tickets? Park at my corner during the 7 to 8 o'clock hour. No, because seriously, fuck that. Dude, I drive like a maniac from time to time, but not during school hours, right? What kind of piece of shit are you? And not when I see the people. If I see them, I stop. See, that's the problem with people. They think you admit you fucked up. You fucked up by not leaving your house on time. And now everyone else has to pay for it, right? You have to fuck up everyone else's day. Own your shit, people. Own your shit. If you fuck up and you're late, you know what you say to yourself? I'm late. There's not a difference. People really think 3 minutes late to 12 minutes late, not that much of a difference. Now if your job depends on it and all that, all right, you do what you got to do sometimes. But if you see a family about to cross the street, you slow the fuck down, dude. Have you not been paying attention to the news? Have you not understood? See, that's what it all goes back. That's my new thesis. If I have a thesis for 2022, it's that life is goddamn short. It is. And it goes back to the 5 days and 2 thing. Work 5 days, 2 days off. Who came up with that? We need to be enjoying ourselves more. Life's short. Where are your priorities at? Same thing with this guy. You're going 60 miles an hour down a fucking neighborhood street. It's not a busy street. If it was a busy street, fine. Okay? Because you're approaching madness when you're approaching a busy street on foot. That's part of the deal. But to do that, so now I want this guy. I really wanted to try to get the license plate. You guys ever see the movie MacGruber? Some guy called him like a dipshit or something like that, and he was memorizing the license plate. He kept going like, F7264, F7264. Like he kept saying like the license plate and he was memorizing it, and then he was like, I'm going to get my revenge on this guy. That's what I want. I really wish. And now I think I'm going to try to stake him out. The funny thing is, I was running late that day. So normally I'm not at that spot. But guess what? When I was running late, granted, I'm taking a kid to 4 and 5-year-old preschool, so it's not like there's major consequences. Even so, I wouldn't risk other people's lives. You know why? Because I'm a good person. A good person who tells bad people that they got to stop being pieces of shits. That's what that comes down to. Yeah, I don't know. I want to find this guy, and I want to be like, I don't know. I was thinking, do I like lay thumbtacks down? But then one of my neighbors will probably, because that's what happens. Innocent people always get fucked. Whenever you're planning a good revenge, it's the innocents. So I don't know. I think, I don't want to be a narc. I don't want to be one of those people that's like telling cops, hey, hang out at this corner. Do I try to get a speed bump put in? No, because that's slowing me down on occasion. There's just, it's different. See, that's it. I'm slowly turning into a dad. I've been a dad, but I feel like I'm a young dad still. I still dress when I'm out in public, if I'm out at a show or just out doing stuff, if someone saw me, they wouldn't assume I had kids right away. I'm not wearing khaki shorts up to my belly button. I'm not rocking New Balance yet because I've heard good things. I mean, it's clearly a comfortable shoe. There's no way New Balance is not a comfortable shoe. Do they look terrible? Absolutely. They look like hot garbage. But they got to be supporting some arches. They got it. They must be like walking on clouds, because the amount of shoes that company fucking peddles to men of a certain age is outstanding. It's impressive. I don't know what their sales are. I've got to look it up, but Nike and Adidas must be thinking, how do we our shoes aren't that expensive. How do we get into this market of 47 and older? Because New Balance is just kicking our dicks in when it comes to making a dent in that age group. Next time I'm at a store, if I'm at like a hardware store, because hardware store, next time you go to a hardware store, everyone, you take a gander and you'll notice it is New Balance City. Everyone's rocking New Balance. The women are rocking New Balance. And I want to ask them, I want to be like, how great do your feet feel right now? And I just know, guy's going to look up from a set of screwdrivers, give me a real sly grin and be like, my feet feel fucking fantastic. My feet feel like the first time you had sex. My feet feel like a Cinnabon on a fucking cold day. My feet, I want to hear, because it's got to be. It just has to be. How else could it be? All right, so some other things I wanted to address. you know. But you know what? That Friday feeling's nice. I hope you guys are having that Friday feeling. That feeling like, hey, let's get into some trouble. Let's get into some action. Do people say that anymore? I would like for people to say that. I'm drinking a margarita right now. It's Cayman Jack margarita. It's in a bottle. I didn't make it. It's in a little short glass bottle. Went to the liquor store over the weekend. Was it over the weekend? Yeah. It was one of those nice nights. And I said to the missus, I go, you know what? This is me and you sit on the back deck, have some alcoholic beverages type of evening. I think it was last Thursday, or maybe it was over the weekend. I can't remember when it was. Saturday night. That's when it was. And these aren't bad. Not bad at all. Sugary as fuck, I bet, though. But pretty good. Pretty good. You know, I'm not normally like a, what would you call this? A wine cooler type of thing? No, it's not a wine. It's like a mixed drink. I don't know. Normally, I'm not into the beach drinks. But again, that's another thing. As I'm aging, I'm getting into the beach drinks. I'm a guy who wants speed bumps on his block, and I want a little umbrella in a glass. That's where I'm at, and I want my feet supported. And I think the socks need to go up a little higher, too, now that I mention it. All right. You know, when I used to call this podcast Kilgallon's Pub, and I had guests on for every one of those episodes, it was easy to drink while doing it because you took sips while the other person spoke. So that's interesting, to say the least. I'm going to have to hopefully not take a hiatus, but I might be back in the studio for a little bit of the summer because getting some work done on the house, and I don't know if I'm not going to be able to. This studio, as you know it, that you guys see on YouTube here, this has a few more weeks left, and then after about a month, I'll have a new setup, and it's going to be fucking awesome. I'm getting an office basically instead of this makeshift thing I got going on right now. But I'll have to go back in the studio, and then maybe it's like a Kilgallon's Pub return where I get sauced up. My man Jonah Jerkins was talking about building a podcast studio in his house. If that happens, I think we're going to have some episodes where we get a little buzz action going. See, I'm bringing up back the word action. But I remember thinking, like, you know, action's a cool word. You know, you talk to some friends. I had that stretch where I remember texting some friends going, we got some action going down. What's the action tonight? What's the action coming my way? I think that's from the movie Made with Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau. He'd be like, what's the action coming my way? That Vince Vaughn could turn some phrases. I'll give him that. So money. What's the action? There's a couple other ones in there too. You're somebody you don't even know. Look at the pretty babies. Where are the pretty babies, you know? When I first started doing stand-up, people told me I sounded like him. And I was like, well, both from Chicago, although he's from the burbs. And although he took boxing at the park I grew up by, like around the block from me. So Portage Park, everyone. Vince Vaughn took boxing lessons there. So anyway, maybe he heard me. Maybe, you know, I'm way younger than him, but maybe he was like 18 and I was 7 and I was just talking shit by the tennis courts. And he was like, I like this guy's jib. I like the cut of his jib. I like his jibber jabber. And he stole my thing. I think it's just something where I've noticed the people I've gotten compared to in my speech are people with similar enough backgrounds. As a comedian and a redhead, unfortunately, I feel like maybe I've struggled slightly to stick out more than I should have because of the Bill Burr comparison. Now, I aim not to talk. I try not to. I don't even listen to Bill Burr's podcast anymore. I used to back in the day, but then I was like, I don't want to subconsciously start to sound like this dude. And not that was a fear, but because the fear I had was the more we just had similar enough backgrounds. So I'm trying to get at. He would talk about like his family life, and I'm like, oh, that's very similar to mine. You know, my dad wasn't as much of a hard ass as his dad was, although his dad was a dentist, I think, and my dad worked for the Chicago Park District. So I'll go and say it. My dad would have beaten the fuck out of Bill Burr's dad. You know what I mean? My dad would have. I don't know. My dad was a really nice guy, but if shit had to go down, you don't want to be on that wrong side of it. You know, he'd be like, here comes the action. And, you know, Bill Burr's dad, I'm sure, is a really nice guy, but I'm just going off of F is for Family. The cartoon, you know, is kind of a tough guy, but in real life, I'm pretty sure I read Bill Burr's dad was a dentist. I'm not saying there ain't any tough dentists out there, but my dad versus Bill Burr's dad in a fight, you know, in their primes, of course, I would imagine my dad would knock Bill Burr's dad's teeth out and then be like, hey, good thing you're a fucking dentist. You know what I mean? Now, I just think that'd be a good line right there. Or you knock his teeth out and be like, does anyone else know of another dentist? I don't know. I don't know what the line would be. What would the line be if you knock a dentist's teeth out with your fists? Should be like, well, my fist didn't fill any cavities. I don't know. That fucking sucked. Come on, Joe. Get your shit together. Son of a biscuit. All right. So yeah, I didn't want to listen. You know, it was just one of those things where people are like, oh, you sound like this guy. And I'm like, well, we're just similar people. All right. There's no intent. Because whoever the least famous person is, which is clearly me versus Bill Burr. Bill Burr is one of the greatest comedians of all time and probably one top 5 most famous on the planet right now. Who are the 5 most famous comedians on the planet right now? I'm going to say who are actively touring. Seinfeld still tours, so he's 1. Chris Rock, Chappelle, Burr, I think is 4. And then who would be 5? Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's he's probably number 1 as far as ticket sales go. That guy. But I don't know anyone who says Kevin Hart's their favorite comedian. I have tons of respect for Kevin Hart. Like so much respect. So this isn't a knock on Kevin Hart. But I'd be hard pressed to find someone out there who's like, my favorite stand-up comedian is Kevin Hart. Right? Like what age group is that? I mean, he sells out his shows. So clearly, but he might be in that sweet spot of being like everyone I know loves The Rock, but I don't know anyone who, if you ask them who's your favorite movie star, and they would answer The Rock. He might have been your favorite pro wrestler, but I don't know anyone who's like, The Rock's my favorite movie star. Right? I don't think that's a thing. All right, another sip coming my way. Yeah. I hope everyone's enjoying their summer. I go back and forth with it. I do. I felt like a real fucking piece of shit the other day because I was saying, I remember talking about this on the podcast when summer was starting up. Although technically summer doesn't start till June 21st, and here it is, June 3rd. I said to myself, right when the weather started to turn in early May, I was like, I am going to live it up because I had a miserable, miserable winter. And 2022's, no matter what happens, is going to be the worst year of my life. So I was like, I have got to enjoy the hell out of this summer. And I started off real well. Then I was sitting outside going, look at me, I'm staying outside again. I'm getting fresh air. And then it was one of these fucking hitting goddamn bugs every 3 seconds. And it's annoying. Flies, bees, saw some wasps. And I'm just like, okay, is there something I could buy that kills all of you? And there isn't, because you're not allowed to, you don't want to kill the bees because they got to pollinate stuff. And I understand that. I don't want to murder bees, but could they get away from me? You know, I was at the grill and I literally had to run away from the grill because this bee was following me. It was trying to kiss my neck. I'm like, bee, I know I'm looking sexy, but come on. Actually, I don't even know if I'm looking sexy. I got this beard that I want to shave, but the last couple nights I've been out, everyone's been complimenting it. I don't, it looks really red on camera. That's another thing too. I got to fix the camera situation. I don't know if it's the lighting, but I look redder on camera. Those of you watching this on YouTube, I am not this red. I'm not. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the lighting is. I don't know if it's the background with the shitty wood grain I got behind me, but it's definitely, I don't know, the beard's coming in kind of thick, but I got a rough beard. My wife hates it. My children hate it because when I kiss them, they're like, hey man, can you not stab us with that fucking thing in your face? And I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, I don't know. I'll shave. Sorry. I like it for a couple days, a beard. If it could be soft, I'd probably keep it. I'd probably keep it, be something like, you know what? I'll keep it. It looks pretty good. Here's something I want to thank. I met Chicago Cubs pitcher Marcus Stroman. I was the MC for the event. Club 400%'s Marcus Stroman. They raised money for a few great charities. So shout out to Stu McVicker, the founder of Club 400, Sir William, another dude up there, and Nicole Goy. I think that's how you pronounce your last name. They're like, and my guy Crawley, that's his nickname, Crawley's Cubs Kingdom. If you're a Cubs fan, check it out. He's got a new podcast called Fly the W, and it was a great event. It really was. It was, I don't know, a couple hundred people, I think. And Marcus Stroman used to pitch for the Mets last year, originally with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's made an all-star team before. What's really cool about him is like he's 5'8" and a Major League Baseball player. I bring that up because most pitchers are like 6'3". They're tall. Baseball is one of those sports where height doesn't matter. It helps though, and height kind of does. I hate to say it because you don't want to discourage people, but height matters in a lot of things, in a lot of sports. It doesn't matter in life. It really does. If you're short, who cares? Get over that. We all have our shortcomings. Literally, for you, it's your stature and your inches. But it honestly does not matter. But in sports, I've noticed. I remember sitting. I was sitting close at a Cubs game, I want to say, and I was like, man, these dudes are all huge. They were playing the San Diego Padres. It's like 1999 or something. And I was looking up the roster, and I'm like 6'2", 6'3", 6'5", 6'1", 6'1", 5'11", 6'2", 6'1", 6. I'm like, okay, so height doesn't matter in the sport of baseball like it does in basketball per se, or like if you're an offensive lineman. But clearly, being a great athlete, height helps you in being a great athlete, is I guess the point I was trying to make. So Stroman being a 5'8" pitcher doesn't throw gas really. I mean, he touches 93. So it does throw hard, but he relies on breaking pitches. More power to him. I got a lot of respect for that guy. He's just a tremendous athlete. Gold Glover on the mound, so he feels his position real well. And a guy who's, he's doing good things. So shout out to Marcus Stroman. If you're a baseball fan, follow him on Twitter. He's full of a lot of hot takes. I will not be following him on Twitter anymore. Well, I follow him, but I deactivated the account. Can you believe it? I still can't believe it. I'm still worried that I'm going to cave. But maybe I come back after this cleanse I mentioned, the detox, the mental health detox, something we all need to do from time to time. What else are we going to talk about? Memorial Day was great. Did some grilling, played softball, comedian softball game. I have a story of triumph with it that the people there don't even know how close they were to having a bad day. I pulled up to the game, and I don't know, it was really hot. And I remember telling myself, like, dude, you are not good in the heat. It was 90 degrees Memorial Day Monday. And I pulled up to the park. I was running a little bit behind, and the game was just about to start or just starting up. And I realized I'd forgot my baseball spikes and the shoes I was wearing. I might as well have been wearing socks. They have no traction. And it's a baseball diamond, it's sandy. So I was like, this is going to suck. And again, I'm hot. So I was already agitated, and I'm mad. And I don't recognize like half the people there, which is weird because normally I recognize most people at these games. But we're getting a lot of new people, which is great. I met a lot of them, and I fucking love them. All these new comics out there. The Chicago comedy scene is in good hands. There's some really good people. And as I was getting out of the car, though, I couldn't find the spikes. I was just like, this is going to suck. First ball hit to me. I drop. Couldn't get my footing. Then my first at bat, slip and fall on I remember everyone's like, you okay? Did you pull a hammy? You twist something? I'm like, no, I slid, dude. I'm wearing like these loafers practically, these old ass Adidas classics that aren't meant to be doing anything, but they're like skate shoes. I don't even know how skateboarders could like them. I slid as I turned my back ankle, like as you do when you swing a baseball bat. I just went down. Like I hurt my pride. That's what I did. So I remember it was funny after I fell and I'm getting up as I'm walking away. A lot of people are like, Joe, you all right? I just didn't answer because in my head, I'm like, I'm walking away. I'm fine. Thanks for the concern, but I'm pissed. So I'm just walking away. They're like, Joe, you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm fine. Thank you very much. The fuck? If I wasn't fine, you would know. I would be like clearly not fine. Fuck. I said to myself, I'm like, Joe, here's where the victory lies. And here's where everyone doesn't realize. I calmed myself down. And I was like, okay, Joe, listen. I'm going to try to go to the car and see if there's any other kind of shoe that you could wear instead of this. If you can't find them, you have to just quietly be like, hey, listen, guys, you got enough players. Because they had enough. It's not like I left. It would have fucked up teams or anything. I got to go, though, and they'll try to say, oh, you sure? You bummer, But if I do that early on, that's the way to go. Because I said to myself, I'm like, if I stick around with this heat and playing like shit's hard enough for someone like me with my psychosis. Playing like shit and being fucking sweating your balls off because you're so uncomfortable because it's so hot outside. That's a bad combination, not just for me, but for everyone who comes in contact with me. Because I know what's going to happen. Say my next at bat, I slip again, it popped up in the infield. I'm taking that bat and I'm throwing it across the street. I wish I wasn't like this. That's something I'm working on. And I'm proud to say I did it. I worked on it. And it didn't get to that point. I recognized that that's where I was heading. And I said, all right, this is what you got to do because I wanted everyone to have a good Memorial Day. I said, it's my buddy Joe Fernandez's birthday. We got a lot of people here. Jonah Jerkins tons of people have been on this podcast. Were there. Jonah Jerkins, Kyle Scanlon, Cole Cabana, all these dudes playing, all these dudes having fun, and women. There's women there too. And, everyone's having a great time. And I didn't want to be the person who spoiled that in any way. So that's where I was like, just not going to happen. You got to keep it together. Went back to the car, found golf shoes. And I'm like, these might work. Tightened them up, came up to the plate, fucking jacked a double. Then after that, was hitting everything. Bullets all over the place. Hit a bomb shot, hit a home run, making plays in the field. Had a great time, right? I was able to turn it around because I'm now honest with myself. That is going to be my closing. You know how Jerry Springer used to do final thoughts? Here's my final thought for this podcast. Learn to be honest with yourself. There's something and in this case, something I'm not good at is keeping my emotions in check when I'm not doing well, when I'm bad at something and I'm uncomfortable. I recognized, I saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, this could go bad quickly. So before it got there, I made a decision. You make a choice. And yeah, maybe if I would have left early the next day, I would have been like, oh man, I could. No, you got to be honest with yourself. And I was honest with myself there. And I go, listen, I don't want to be the guy that ruins this. So if you can't find some shoes to fix the situation, you got to just go. You got to go home. And that's okay. There'll be other games. I'd rather leave early and have people be like, that was weird, instead of sticking around and people being like, wow, what a fucking asshole. We were all having fun. Why was he like that? Why would he take, this is pickup softball. This isn't a league game. It's Memorial Day softball. Why would he? I don't know why I would, but I do. I take that shit seriously. I think because like I've played well in other games, so you're expected to be good. When we play these games, I'm always one of the first picks, so I feel like you got a reputation to uphold. That's why I'm envious of the people who just know they're not good athletes and they're like, I'm just playing because it's something to do. I don't care if I'm good. Oh, I dropped it. No biggie. Me, I drop it and I feel like I relive every failure I've ever had in my life. You just dropped a pop-up in shallow center field. Well, okay. That makes sense. That's why you dropped out of college. Like I just fucking go down this insane path sometimes. It's crazy. But I'm very proud. I'm telling you, man, and women, everyone out there, it's be honest with yourself and look to improve yourself. Because this was a few years ago, literally a few years ago, this happened and I went the other way with it and I ruined everyone's day. So yeah, man, this was a huge victory for me. And just by doing that is why I think I had a great game and had a lot of fun, because I was able to just, all right, here's what's going to happen. I'm either going to find the shoes or find some shoes, or I'm going to go home. Right? That's just, you got to make decisions like that. All right, you guys are the best. Thank you for making the decision of listening to the Joe Kilgallon Podcast. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Get after it. Get some sunshine. Hit those bugs away, though. Right? Do something. Try something new. That's what I want you to do this weekend. Try a new food. Try something. You know what? If someone says, hey, you want to go there? And your instinct is, say, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Why not? I'll find a way to make the best of it. Look to do something good for someone as well, too. How about that? Look at me. I'm full of fucking positivity. I'm positive. I'm positive Joe Kilgallon. That's what you guys are going to call me from now on. All right, you guys.